Have you ever met someone who never said how they felt, never gave you a clear answer, never crossed the line between friendship and something more, yet somehow managed to stay in your thoughts every single day? Sometimes the strongest feelings are not hidden behind words. Sometimes they are hidden behind silence. And the strange thing about silence is that most people misunderstand it. They think silence means nothing. But in reality, silence can carry emotions that words are too afraid to reveal. Ryan never believed much in signs. He was the kind of person who preferred facts, clear answers, and direct conversations. If someone liked him, he assumed they would simply say it. If someone didn't, that was fine too. Life felt easier when things were straightforward. That belief stayed with him until he met Emma. The first time he noticed her, there was nothing extraordinary about the moment. It happened on a rainy afternoon when he arrived late to a training seminar organized by the company where he had recently started working. The room was already half full. People were chatting, checking their phones, or preparing notebooks for the session. Ryan quietly entered and searched for an empty seat. As he sat down, he noticed a girl sitting 2 rows ahead. She wasn't trying to attract attention. She wasn't the loudest person in the room. In fact, she barely spoke during the entire first hour. Yet for some reason, his eyes kept returning to her. Maybe it was because she seemed different from everyone else. While others were trying hard to impress people around them, she seemed completely comfortable being herself. After the session ended, everyone began leaving. Ryan forgot about the encounter almost immediately. At least he thought he did. A week later, another seminar was held. This time, when Ryan entered the room, he noticed Emma again. She was sitting near the window. The strange thing was that when she saw him enter, she immediately looked away. Ryan didn't think much about it. Coincidences happen. People look around rooms all the time. The training sessions continued for several weeks. Slowly, familiar faces became familiar names. Eventually, Ryan and Emma exchanged their first conversation. It was short, simple, forgettable, or at least it should have been. After one presentation, Ryan accidentally left his notebook on a table. As he walked toward the exit, he heard someone calling behind him. Ryan. He turned. Emma was holding his notebook. You forgot this. Oh, thanks. No problem. That was it. Just a few words. Nothing special. Yet later that night, Ryan found himself remembering the conversation for no reason. Not because of what was said. Because of how she said it. There was something about her voice. Something calm. Something sincere. The following weeks brought more small interactions. Nothing dramatic. Nothing romantic. Just little moments. Passing conversations. Brief exchanges. Questions about work. Comments about presentations. Normal things. But gradually, Ryan started noticing patterns. Whenever he entered a room, Emma seemed aware of it immediately. Not obviously. Not enough for anyone else to notice. But enough for him. If she was talking to someone, there would be a tiny pause. A quick glance. A subtle shift, as if part of her attention had moved toward him. At first, he dismissed it. Then he started seeing it more often. One afternoon, the group went to a nearby cafe after training. Several people joined. Ryan ended up sitting across from Emma. The conversation moved from work to hobbies. People talked about favorite movies, music, and travel destinations. Ryan casually mentioned a small town he had visited years ago. Nobody reacted much. The topic changed within seconds. 2 months later, during another conversation, Emma suddenly mentioned that same town. Not only did she remember it, she remembered details Ryan himself barely recalled sharing. It surprised him. Most people forget conversations within days. She remembered one from months ago. Still, he didn't overthink it. Some people simply have good memories. That explanation felt reasonable, until more things started happening. Emma seemed to remember everything. His favorite coffee, the music he liked, the book he once mentioned reading, even random stories he told in passing. The more Ryan noticed it, the stranger it felt. Because he realized something. He couldn't remember nearly as much about her. Yet she seemed to remember almost everything about him. Months passed. The friendship grew naturally. They talked more often, sometimes during breaks, sometimes after meetings, sometimes through messages. Yet something remained unusual. Emma never seemed completely relaxed around him. Around others, she laughed freely. She spoke confidently. She looked comfortable. Around Ryan, there was always a hint of nervousness. Tiny signs. A brief hesitation before speaking. A smile that appeared and disappeared too quickly. Moments where she seemed about to say something but changed her mind. Ryan couldn't explain it, but he noticed it. One evening, the entire team attended a company event. The venue was crowded. Music played softly in the background. Groups formed across the room. People laughed and socialized. Ryan spent most of the evening talking with colleagues. At one point, he looked across the room. Emma was speaking with two coworkers. For a brief moment, she looked directly at him. Their eyes met. Instantly, she looked away. The reaction happened so quickly that Ryan almost wondered if he imagined it. But later that night, the same thing happened again. And again, each time producing the same result. Eye contact. Immediate avoidance. It became impossible not to notice. Yet Emma never acted distant. That was the confusing part. She seemed interested in talking to him. Interested in spending time near him. But whenever things became slightly personal, she retreated. As if an invisible wall appeared. One day, Ryan decided to test a theory. During lunch, he mentioned another woman from a different department. Nothing serious, just a casual story. The reaction was subtle. Most people would have missed it. Emma didn't say anything negative. She didn't ask questions. She didn't criticize. But her energy changed. Her smile faded slightly. Her responses became shorter. The conversation lost its warmth. Ryan noticed it immediately. And when the topic changed, she slowly returned to normal. The pattern repeated several times over the following months. Whenever another woman entered the conversation, Emma's mood shifted. Only slightly. Never dramatically. But consistently. That consistency mattered. Because random behavior isn't consistent. Emotional behavior is. Still, Ryan remained uncertain. People are complicated. Assumptions can be dangerous. He didn't want to misread signals. So he ignored the possibility. Life continued. Then came the messages. At first, Emma only texted when necessary. Work-related questions. Schedule updates. Simple things. Over time, the reasons became less important. She would send a message about something funny she saw online. A random observation. A question that didn't really need asking. Conversations that started for no clear reason. Ryan began noticing something else. Emma almost always found a way to continue talking. Even after the original topic ended. It was subtle. One extra question. One extra comment. One extra observation. As if ending the conversation felt slightly disappointing. Months turned into nearly a year. By then, Ryan considered Emma one of the closest people in his daily life. Yet he still couldn't define their relationship. Friends. Maybe. Something more. Possibly. Something hidden. Very likely. The uncertainty remained. Then one winter evening, everything became more confusing. The city was covered in rain. Traffic moved slowly. Ryan had a difficult day and wasn't in the mood to talk. For several days, he became distant. Not intentionally. Just tired. Busy. Focused on personal issues. During that week, Emma changed too. She became quieter. Less energetic. Less present. It wasn't dramatic, but noticeable. The moment Ryan returned to his usual self, her mood improved almost immediately. That realization stayed in his mind. Why would his behavior affect her emotional state so strongly? Friends care about each other. Of course. But this felt deeper. More personal. As if his presence had become emotionally important to her. And emotional importance rarely develops without feelings attached to it. Ryan tried not to jump to conclusions. But every new observation pushed him toward the same possibility. Then came a conversation he would never forget. It happened late one evening. Most people had already left. The office was nearly empty. Ryan and Emma were finishing separate tasks. The room was quiet. For almost 20 minutes, neither spoke. Then suddenly Emma asked a question. Do you think people always tell the truth about how they feel? Ryan looked up. The question seemed random. What do you mean? Emma stared at her desk. I mean, if someone likes someone else, do you think they always admit it? Ryan laughed lightly. Definitely not. Why? Because people are afraid. Afraid of what? Rejection. Losing the friendship. Looking foolish. Emma was silent for several seconds. Longer than normal. Then she nodded slowly. Yeah, that makes sense. The conversation ended there, but for some reason, it stayed with Ryan long after he got home. Because something about her tone felt personal. Not curious. Personal. As if she wasn't asking about people in general. As if she was asking about herself. That night, Ryan lay awake thinking about everything. The glances. The memory. The mood changes. The messages. The nervousness. The questions. Individually, none of them proved anything. Together, they painted a picture that was becoming impossible to ignore. A picture of someone who cared deeply. Someone who felt something real. Someone who wanted to hide those feelings, yet couldn't completely hide the evidence. And although Ryan didn't know it yet, the most revealing moment of all was still waiting ahead. Continue with part 2 for the next section of the story.